The story begins in early 1942, at a moment when the Atlantic Ocean has become one of the most dangerous battlefields of World War II. German U-boats hunt relentlessly, sinking Allied supply ships and threatening to starve Britain into surrender. The United States Navy, newly drawn into the war, is still learning how to fight this invisible enemy beneath the waves. At the center of this struggle is Commander Ernest Krause, a career naval officer finally given his first command, the USS Greyhound, a destroyer escort tasked with protecting a vital convoy of merchant ships crossing the Atlantic. Krause is a man of deep discipline and quiet intensity. He is respected for his knowledge of naval warfare, particularly anti-submarine tactics, but he lacks combat experience. As the Greyhound prepares to sail from the American coast, Krause walks the deck alone, absorbing the weight of responsibility. 37 merchant ships will rely on him and a small group of Allied escorts to survive the journey through the most dangerous stretch of ocean known as the Black Pit, a zone beyond the reach of land-based air cover where U-boats strike freely. Before departure, Krause meets Evelyn, a woman with whom he shares a restrained but sincere affection. Their relationship is defined by long conversations, moral reflection, and emotional restraint. Krause is uncomfortable with intimacy, unsure how to balance duty and personal life. During a quiet dinner, he proposes marriage in a direct, almost awkward manner, as if issuing an order rather than expressing emotion. Evelyn accepts, understanding the man he is and the burden he carries. Their time together is brief. War allows no delays. Once at sea, the convoy forms up under heavy clouds and rough waters. The merchant ships move slowly, vulnerable and overloaded with supplies essential for the Allied war effort. Krause immediately establishes strict routines aboard the Greyhound. He rarely sleeps, eats sparingly, and remains constantly. The second day in the Black Pit begins with no sense of relief. The ocean looks calm, almost indifferent, but everyone aboard the Greyhound knows that the enemy is close. Krause has been awake for nearly 24 hours, his uniform rumpled, his face drawn. He grips the railing of the bridge as if it is the only thing anchoring him to the present moment. Reports come in steadily from sonar and radar, each one a reminder that danger can appear without warning. The German U-boats adapt their tactics. Instead of isolated strikes, they begin coordinating, moving like a pack. Sonar pings echo through the ship, followed by long stretches of nothing, which are often more terrifying than confirmed contacts. Krause studies the data obsessively, recalculating enemy positions, issuing orders in clipped, precise tones. His voice never rises, but the urgency beneath it is unmistakable. Another escort ship signals that it has detected a submarine. Krause orders the Greyhound to support the attack, leaving the convoy again. The decision weighs heavily on him. He knows that every time he breaks formation, he risks exposing the merchant ships. But allowing a U-boat to remain undisturbed would be even more dangerous. The Greyhound races toward the contact, cutting through the waves at full speed. The attack unfolds quickly. Depth charges explode beneath the surface, sending columns of water skyward. The sonar contact disappears. For a moment, there is hope that the submarine has been destroyed. But then a torpedo strikes one of the escorts. The explosion rips through the ship, breaking it apart. Flames engulf the deck as sailors scramble in panic. Krause orders rescue efforts limited to what is absolutely necessary, knowing that lingering too long could doom the entire convoy. The cost of war feels merciless and constant. As night approaches again, the U-boats grow bolder. One surfaces close enough to be seen through binoculars, its dark silhouette cutting across the moonlit water. The third night in the Black Pit feels heavier than the ones before. The sea is darker, the air colder, and the silence more oppressive. Krause remains on the bridge, his eyes bloodshot, his movements stiff from exhaustion. He has not slept since the convoy entered this dangerous stretch of ocean. Every instinct tells him that the enemy is watching, waiting for the precise moment when fatigue will cause a mistake. The Greyhound's fuel gauge continues to drop, inching closer to empty. Ammunition is limited. Depth charges are gone. The ship's most effective weapon against submarines has been spent. Krauss is painfully aware of this vulnerability, yet he maintains his composure. He knows that fear spreads quickly, and the crew takes their cues from him. If he shows doubt, morale will collapse. Sonar reports come in intermittently, often unclear. Contacts appear and vanish without confirmation. Krauss orders course changes, attempting to protect the convoy through positioning rather than firepower. He weaves the Greyhound between merchant ships, using speed and maneuvering as a shield. The destroyer becomes a moving barrier, daring the enemy to strike. Just after midnight, a torpedo cuts through the water toward the Greyhound itself. The warning is shouted at the last possible second. Krauss reacts instantly, ordering a hard turn to starboard. The ship leans violently as it changes course. The torpedo passes just off the bow, close enough that everyone on the bridge feels its wake. For the first time, the Greyhound has narrowly escaped destruction. The enemy takes advantage of the chaos. Another torpedo hits a nearby merchant ship, tearing it apart. Fire erupts, illuminating the sea and revealing the convoy's position once again. Krauss orders gun crews to stand by, knowing that surface engagements may now be the only option left. A U-boat surfaces boldly within visual range, its conning tower silhouetted against the burning ship. The German commander transmits one FINA. The final stretch of the journey unfolds with a strange calm that feels almost unreal after days of relentless tension. The sea is still, the sky clearer than it has been since the convoy entered the Black Pit. Allied aircraft circle overhead, their engines a steady reassurance that the invisible threat beneath the waves has finally been pushed back. For the first time, the men aboard the Greyhound begin to breathe without bracing themselves for the next alarm. Krauss stands on the bridge, quieter now, his posture less rigid but still disciplined. The exhaustion has settled deep into his bones, yet his sense of responsibility has not faded. He continues to monitor the convoy, ensuring the remaining ships stay in formation. There are fewer of them now. The gaps where lost vessels once sailed are impossible to ignore. Each empty space is a reminder of lives taken by the sea. As the convoy approaches safer waters, British naval escorts arrive to take over protection. The handoff is formal and efficient. Signal lights flash, orders are exchanged, and the responsibility that has weighed so heavily on Krauss's shoulders is finally shared. The Greyhound slows slightly, no longer forced to sprint from threat to threat. The change in pace feels almost uncomfortable after days of constant urgency. Below deck, sailors clean equipment, tend to the wounded, and check damage to the ship. The smell of oil, smoke, and sweat lingers in every corridor. Some men sit quietly, staring into nothing, their minds still trapped in the moments when torpedoes cut through the water and explosions shook the hull. Others speak in low voices, replaying decisions and near misses, trying to make sense of what they survived. Krauss moves through the ship, offering brief words to his crew. He thanks them for their discipline and courage, never raising his voice or making grand statements. His leadership has always been defined by restraint, and this moment is no different. The men understand his grit.